Hello learners, in the second session related to forecasting of tourism, after watching this video, you will be able to understand elements of tourism forecasting, types of forecasting methods, importance of forecasting in hotels and the different trends which are indicated at the global level. The main objective of tourism forecasting is to help destinations and tourism business to maintain a continuous supply of tourism products and services to satisfy the increasing demand for international travel experiences. Since the tourism area is complex and the tourist behavior comprises of number of factors in selecting the destinations, the tourism products and services need to take into consideration the various factors that influence the demand for tourism. This demand for a specific destination or a product is based on the prices of the products, the services offered at the destination, travel costs from origin countries to destination countries, and marketing expenditure by tourists. We also consider the source market and the tourist specific factors such as the socio and economic conditions of the source market and the tourist income. We have learned in the first lesson that the ability to predict such factors is crucial in terms of tourism forecasting and to understand the future demand for business at the destination. Today, a large number of tourism forecasting studies have been centered on the specifications of tourism demand models, which take into consideration the possible influencing factors, and we also consider the role of policy makers and decision makers because we want them to design appropriate policies and strategies to maintain the future demand fluctuations. Therefore, forecasting models are very many and they are widely applied both at the corporate level and at the national level. The objective of these models is to improve tourism accuracy and to minimize the cost of searching in terms of the data and information. There are certain benchmark models which help us to compare forecasting with other dimensions of business. Now, let us understand the elements involved in tourism forecasting. So, first and foremost, if you are forecasting for a demand at the destination, you must develop a basic criteria, a system to investigate the current economic situation around you. This includes your tourism industry, its present position, the popular products at the destination, and you also need to estimate the sales and the general business operations. Second element is the estimation of future business operations. So, we take into consideration with the help of collected data what kind of estimations are there in terms of new events or as well as economic conditions, weather forecast and the ability of people to spend. The third element is we need to regulate our forecast. It must be compared with the actual result. Then only we can find out the deviations from the norm. These deviations help us to take corrective actions and improve our forecasting techniques for future. The next element is to review the forecasting process. By reviewing the deviations between the forecasts and the actual performance, we can allow and refine and review our strategies. Now, after understanding the elements of tourism forecasting, let us understand the categories of forecasting methods. There are a number of methods that are available in the market, but for our subject, the focus is basically we have divided them into two. The first one is the qualitative forecasting. Qualitative forecasting techniques are subjective and they are based on the opinion and judgment of consumers and experts. They are appropriate when past data is not available. They are usually applied for intermediate decisions, and let us understand the examples of qualitative forecasting techniques. The first forecasting technique is executive judgment. Group of high-level executives or senior vice presidents will assume the responsibility for the forecast. They will collaborate and examine market data and look at the future trends of the business. They may use statistical models as well as the advice of market experts to arrive at the forecast. The second one is the sales force opinion. The sales force in a business are those persons who are close to the customer. Therefore, their opinion is of high value. The sales force person are asked to give their future projections about an area or a territory. Once we receive those projections, we review them to form an overall forecast for the district or a region. The third popular method is a Delphi method. This method was created in 1950. A group of experts were recruited to participate in the forecast. The administrator of the forecast will send out a series of questionnaires and ask for inputs and justifications. Once the responses are received, they are collated and they are again evaluated and adjustments are made. A key aspect of Delphi method is that the responses are anonymous. Respondents do not have knowledge about the information has come from what kind of source. This method gives us a chance to take into consideration the opinions from various sources and is generally based on questionnaires with multiple choice options. The next aspect is market surveys. Many organizations employ market research firms to gather information from tourists regarding the opinion of the destination and their future purchasing plan. After understanding the qualitative aspect, now let us understand the quantitative aspects of tourism forecasting. Quantitative forecasting models are used to forecast future data as a function of past data. They are appropriate to use when past numerical data is available and when it is reasonable to assume that some kind of a pattern will emerge from the data and will continue into future. Again, these type of forecasting methods can be applied to short term or mid term. Now, let us understand some of the examples of quantitative forecasting. The first one is the average approach. This is a simple method. The average approach says that the prediction of all future values are equal to the mean of the past data. Past data is required to use this method and it is a very important aspect of quantitative forecasting. This approach is often used when you need to predict unknown values. It allows you to make calculations based on past averages and you also assume that the future will closely resemble the past. The next method is the time series method. In time series method of quantitative forecasting, we compare the data and its accuracy with performance measures. So, we have mean absolute deviation, mean squared error and mean absolute percentage errors. These we take into consideration and we try to accurately measure the forecasts. If we have the consumption data available, then we will relate it with past, periodic sale of products, demand, sale of services such as transportation and packages. These are also available to forecast a large number of data and to carry out a statistical analysis of past data to develop forecast for the future. The underlying assumption here is that the past relationship will continue to hold in future. Therefore, the time series refers to the past recorded value of variables under consideration. The value of variables under consideration are measured at specific intervals of time. These intervals may be hours, days or weeks or months. So, in the analysis of time series data, we take into consideration some of the important factors. The one such factor is trends. Now, trends relate to long-term persistent movement, tendencies or change in data like price increase, tourism growth or decline in market share. The second one is seasonal variations. These seasonal variations can be at specific intervals or repetitive. which may occur because of the buying and consuming pattern, social habits, weather, and the demand for products like such as soft drinks or a specific destination is also based on seasonal variations. Then we have cyclic variations. This refers to variations in time series which arise out of the phenomena of business cycle. The business cycle refers to the period of expansion followed by periods of contraction. The period of business cycle may vary from 1 year to a long time frame. The duration and level of resulting demand variations in the business cycle is many times difficult to predict. And the last one is random variations. This refers to erratic fluctuations in the data which cannot be attributed to trends, seasonal or cyclic factors. The root cause of this variation has to be taken into consideration after the detailed analysis of the data and the explanations associated with it. Now, these variations can be due to number of factors such as sudden weather changes, strike at the destination or strikes at the destination. They are truly random in nature, and we need to take into account the impact of these events in terms of the time series data. Then we have the casual forecasting methods. These methods try to identify the factors that might influence the tourism demand. This may be related to climate patterns. Also, they may be associated with the type of holiday. We may predict the sale of rooms associated with a specific event, or let us say a festival or a football season. So, we have understood that we are using number of factors when we are using and applying the quantitative forecasting methods. Variables are very important, time frame of the forecasting is important, and past data is essential to understand the relationship between the destination competitiveness and the future trends. The next method of discussion is regression analysis. This is a statistical method where we try to estimate the relationship among variables. It includes many techniques such as modeling and analysis of several variables, where we focus on the relationship between dependent variable and independent variable. It helps us to understand the changes and the reasons for changes in terms of tourism demand. So, after understanding these various methods of forecasting, quantitative and qualitative methods, now let us discuss the importance of hotel forecasting. Hotel forecasting is the ultimate resource for anticipating the future performance of the hotel key metrics such as occupancy, average daily rate, revenue per available room. Forecasting future demand in hotel industry is crucial because it leads to efficient planning and decision making for all the departments, and is also one of the drivers of pricing the room rates. Accurate forecasting is a way to increase the predictability and the use of various resources. In hotels, duration is defined as length of stay. In airlines, it is known as in terms of the time in the flight. In restaurants, the length of the meal, and so many other factors are there which help us to increase the predictability of the duration, and we can also forecast in all these areas that how we can come up with better services and better rates and retain our customers. In hotels, forecasting remains the job of a revenue manager who performs this in different ways. They may use manual Excel based approach, and others may also use automated systems like revenue management systems. Big hotels decide to invest in such systems because they understand that if there is inaccurate forecasting, it may lead to incorrect decisions. Therefore, forecasting is the heart of any hotel operation. Experienced revenue managers come up with predictions for an year and maybe for more than that, and they are supposed to divide them into various segments according to the source of business and share the data with the top management. These forecasts are also divided into various categories such as occupancy forecast, where the revenue managers predict the occupancy levels, demand forecast. The revenue manager produces unconstrained demand for the hotel if no restrictions on capacity is applied. So, in such forecast we take into consideration the trends. Then the revenue manager estimates the revenue to be generated. The main challenge for an accurate forecast is predicting the exact figures related to the room, extended stay over rooms, early departure rooms, walk-in guests, and today we have number of softwares available and various methods and approaches which help us to forecast the demand for hotels. We also use historical booking models and advanced booking models. In historical booking models, we consider only the arrival and we apply the time series models, whereas in the advanced booking approach, we use the reservation data and we also use various models to understand the forecast by day of arrival, length of stay and rate category. Therefore, we have understood that for hotels, occupancy patterns, internal and external events, reservations, rate information are very much important, and most of the hotels are now using revenue management systems to arrive at accurate prediction and to allocate resources for efficient business operations. So, we have understood in this discussion today that the price of the hotels are competitive, they are based on certain demands, they are based on events, whereas we need to use various methods, not one method but multiple methods, market segment wise, taking into consideration the channel of distribution and come up with accurate estimates so that we can maximize our profit. Now, in this session of business forecasting and tourism forecasting, we have understood that forecasting is very much relevant for tourism industry. We have also studied the various steps involved in the forecasting process, the application of forecasting both for the tourism destinations, its stakeholders and hotels. Now, let us understand the new trends, the future trends based on the data available at the global level in terms of tourism business. So, in the end of this presentation, I am going to discuss with you few trends which are relevant for understanding the tourism business, and as the students of tourism, we can forecast based on these data. So, the first trend is in the next 50 years, we will see that the center of gravity of world economy will shift east and south. By 2030, many developing countries are expected to contribute 2/3 of global growth, and they may come up with new destinations at the global level. Emerging economies such as China and India are important markets for firms in many industries, and as a result of it, a new middle class is fast emerging, which has led to the rise in the consumption of tourism services and other products. So, the emerging economies are likely to remain favored locations for tourism activities, and we will find that they will have a large share in the tourism business. The second important trend is related with changing demographics. Changing demographics will have a major impact on tourism demand in coming years. This trend will be related to both young population and aging population. With the emergence of generations which are millennials and generation Z will become key forces in mobility, and their travel behavior could lead to significant shift in tourism market. People will change in terms of their needs and demands, and it is going to be quite different from what we anticipate in today's context. So, we look forward to new destinations, new concepts of travel and tourism. A new expanding area in terms of demographic is the elderly, Because of the increase in life expectancy, the aging population is increasing its share in the world tourism market, and it's going to double over the next 35 years. So, some regions may experience significant growth, and this population, especially in the developing countries, is going to have an immense impact on tourism demand. They will look forward to better services from person's home to an airport or to a travel station, and will require multiple services. We need better tourism related infrastructure, modes of transportation, and we need to carefully design our strategies which are based on technology and fast communication. So, the transportation system, the forecast is the system need to accommodate diverse abilities and need. We need to expand our potential tourism market to include people with special needs. We will require various assisted facilities which will be essential for elderly. So, the trends indicate that the future forecasting models will be more complex, statistically based and technologically relevant to help us to find out the trends. We have discussed new trends both in terms of new tourism markets, the change in the composition of population, the rise of elderly segment, and this will require an innovative approach to accommodate new demands and preferences for individual groups. Today, the generation is influenced by social media and recommendations by their friends when they make travel decisions. They are interested in taking risk on vacations and look forward to unique experiences and trips which are focused on relaxation. So, the trends indicate that we look forward to customized and sustainable travel experiences which may shift from the traditional experiences based on attractions. The importance of tourism forecasting is very much there for the policy makers. The policy makers must promote innovations in terms of new technology. They must give better relaxations, better services. They must enact laws which are friendly for developing tourism and promote artificial intelligence so that we can use the various data that is available to us in understanding the tourism trends. So, in this video we have understood that forecasting is a complex process. Forecasting takes place at various levels. We may have forecasting at the level of a business enterprise, by the state government, national level and global level. We use both quantitative and qualitative techniques for business forecasting. Forecasting can be done for a long time period, 10 years, 15 years and up to 30 years also. Tourism forecasting is essential for us because we need to develop various tourism support services. We need to train people involved in tourism and also help them to adapt to new technological innovations. So, learners, we have understood the various methods of tourism forecasting and its application. The methods are going to be complex, but the basic objective remains the same, that accurate forecasting will completely change the way in which we design our programs and will help us to launch new products and promote innovation in tourism sector. Thank you.